There was a time when earning $100,000 a year felt like you had made it, like you could finally breathe, relax, and enjoy your life. But if you are watching this video right now, earning close to that number or even more and still feeling broke at the end of every month, you are not crazy, you are not bad with money, and you are definitely not alone. Something changed, and it changed quietly while everyone was busy chasing promotions and raises. Just to be clear, this video is not about shaming you for buying an expensive car or taking one holiday a year, because that story has been told 1,000 times and it never really explained why so many high earners still feel stuck and stressed. For decades, the idea of earning $100,000 a year sat in the American mind like a finish line you could finally rest at. In fact, if you grew up hearing adults talk about money at the dinner table, chances are someone once said, if you can just get to 6 figures, you'll be fine. And nobody questioned it, because back then, it was true. As a matter of fact, at one point in time, a $100,000 salary could realistically cover a modest home in a decent neighborhood, 2 cars that started in the winter, health insurance, groceries, and still leave room for savings and a vacation. But that's not quite so anymore. And it's not that we suddenly became worse with money or less disciplined than previous generations. It's that the benchmark of success stayed the same while the expectations attached to that benchmark multiplied. There's a mix of systems quietly working together to make sure that whatever you earn, you are encouraged, nudged, and sometimes forced to spend right up to the edge of it. Take housing, for example. Rent or mortgage payments are not optional, and they are due every single month whether you had a good month at work or not. And if you live near a major city, which many high-paying jobs require, you already know that even modest homes now come with prices that would have sounded ridiculous just a decade ago. You are not wrong for wanting to live near your job, near good schools, near decent infrastructure, or near places where your career can actually grow. But what really happened is that those areas became locked behind price tags that assume too high incomes, constant job stability, and zero financial mistakes. As if that was not bad enough, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance costs all aggressively rise alongside the home value. And if you decided to rent instead, then you probably noticed that rents have climbed just as aggressively, often with less stability. Sometimes a single lease renewal can wipe out the benefit of your last raise, making that promotion you worked so hard for feel like it never happened at all. Now, let us talk about healthcare for a moment. If you're earning more, it often means losing access to subsidies and lower-cost plans, while still paying premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket costs that can be shocking even for well-paid professionals. And if you have a family, those numbers multiply very quickly. It's a bit of a cliché to say healthcare is broken, but clichés exist for a reason. The truth is that many Americans earning good money still avoid going to the doctor because they're afraid of the bill. And when that happens, something is clearly wrong with the math of the system. Now, add childcare into the mix for good measure. For many American families, this is the single biggest shock they never planned for properly. It's not that they are irresponsible, but the cost of childcare keeps rising day by day. Would you believe that in many American cities, daycare can cost more than rent? Now imagine if you have 3 or 4 children. And if your job requires commuting, transportation costs can deliver the final blow to that your perceived decent salary. In the US, and to be fair, all over the world, transportation costs have crept up in ways that feel unavoidable. This means car payments, fuel, insurance, repairs, and parking subtly drain your salary. When you add up all these expenses, you gradually begin to understand why a 6-figure salary isn't the golden line anymore. And when you begin to understand it, the next question is, why don't high salary earners begin to live smaller, drive cheaper cars, take their children to cheaper schools, or make different choices? Well, that sounds reasonable on the surface, but it completely ignores how the system nudges people into higher costs the moment their income rises. And this is where lifestyle creep comes in. Just to be clear, lifestyle creep is not about luxury or greed, but about gradual changes that feel logical at the time, like moving closer to work to save time, or choosing a safer neighborhood for your kids. The problem is not that any one of these choices is wrong, but that together they lock in higher fixed costs that don't go away when life gets harder. If you've ever felt like your expenses grew right alongside your income without you ever making a big flashy upgrade, then congratulations, you've experienced lifestyle creep the way most people actually live it. So if it's not the coffee, and it's not the occasional dinner out, and it's not the one holiday a year, then what is it? What is making a decent salary indecent? The unapologetic answer is that the modern middle class is built around consumption, not margin, meaning the system works best when people earn more and spend more, not when they earn more and save more. Another answer to that question is that we were never taught to look at our finances through the lens of structure. You see, most financial advice talks about behavior, but very little talks about architecture. Architecture means how your life is built financially, how many fixed costs you carry, and how much freedom your income truly gives you once the basics are covered. This is why a forensic audit of your lifestyle matters, because until you see exactly where your money is structurally committed, it's impossible to understand why you feel broke even when the salary looks impressive. And this is the moment where many people feel a bit uncomfortable, because seeing the full picture often reveals that the problem is not one bad decision, but a long chain of reasonable decisions that slowly removed flexibility from their lives. Now, if that feels heavy, stay with me, because the next question is, if this is the system, then how do people ever break free from it? And more importantly, why do some people earning less feel more secure than people earning far more? That answer lies in one simple but powerful idea, which is the idea of margin. And once you understand how margin really works, everything about money and work will start looking a whole lot different. So what is margin? Margin is simply what's left after the basics are paid for. However, just giving the dictionary meaning of margin doesn't suffice. In reality, margin is not just extra money, it's breathing room, it's time, it's peace of mind. And that's why two people earning the same income can live completely different lives emotionally. To put it in perspective, imagine two households both earning $100,000 a year. One has high fixed costs, long commutes, expensive childcare, and constant obligations, while the other has lower fixed costs and fewer mandatory payments. Even though their incomes match, their stress levels, choices, and futures look nothing alike. This is why focusing only on income is such a trap, because income without margin forces you to keep working no matter how you feel, what you want, or what life throws at you. This is where the idea of financial sovereignty comes in, which simply means having enough control over your money and time. A sovereign financial life is one where losing a job doesn't instantly destroy you, where a health issue doesn't bankrupt you, and where you have enough margin to say no when something feels wrong. This is where many professionals get stuck, because the world tells you that progress looks like bigger homes, better cars, and more expensive habits, and if it's not broken, fix it, right? Except what we fail to realize is that each upgrade increases the minimum income required to feel okay. So if your lifestyle requires a certain salary to function, then that salary owns you, not the other way around. Again, this is where forensic audit becomes important. For example, does your spending align with what you say you value, or with what you were told success should look like? This is very important because once you see where your margin is leaking, you can start making decisions that increase freedom instead of just maintaining appearances. Now, if you're wondering why this conversation feels different from typical money advice, it's because most advice focuses on optimization within the system, while very little asks whether the system itself is serving you. Like I mentioned earlier, the modern middle class is encouraged to consume, finance, upgrade, and repeat. And as long as you keep doing that, you stay dependent on your income stream. So how can we break free from these shackles? I must mention here that breaking free doesn't mean quitting your job tomorrow or moving off the grid, but it does mean understanding the math of your exit strategy, even if that exit is years away, because knowing you have options changes how you experience the present. An exit strategy doesn't have to be dramatic, but it should answer one simple question, which is how much margin you need to survive without panic if your income stopped temporarily. Then work backwards from there.
For some people, this means reducing fixed costs. For others, it means building savings aggressively. And for many, it means resisting the urge to upgrade just because they can, especially when that upgrade adds permanent expenses. And just to be clear, none of this is about deprivation, but about alignment, because money spent intentionally feels very different from money spent automatically. If this all feels like a lot, it's because most of us were never taught to think this way, since the system doesn't benefit from widespread financial independence, but from predictable consumers. And that brings us back to the original question: why does a $100,000 salary feel like poverty? The answer is not because the money is small, but because the cost of maintaining a socially acceptable life has grown faster than the freedom that income provides. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments and tell me how much you think should be the new golden line. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video.